born ready. All right, we're live.
I don't believe you because I don't see it on the I
Oh,
don't
my
see it. Oh, there
little
we
bit
go.
of a
There we go.
delay.
Okay, cool. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Obstacle.
I
It's
don't
your
believe you.
Monday morning dose of stoicism. Oh, I'm hearing it on my phone. Hold up. There we go. Okay. This is my way of keeping track of the chat. Okay, I'm your host, Ericson. Just alongside me is the one and only Goku of stand-up comedy. I gotta come up with a better name for you, like some sort of kind of opening for you. But yeah, it's Lewis Michael, everyone.
Hey, what's up,
Uh
everybody? You know me as the guy from Salsa Parlor. The thing we're doing.
yeah. I mean, we're doing this now. Sorry, this is episode 5, which means we've been doing this for over a month now.
Yeah.
Um, humble beginnings. I think we're both back from COVID. We're both wearing our morning green hoodies.
Yep.
Um, are you feeling back to being 100%?
Today's the first day where I feel like I can do everything
Every time
normally,
I
but
talk to you, by the way, I want to let you know my experience from
yeah.
you with you and COVID is like every time I talk to you and ask you how you're doing, you're always like, I think I'm better now. I
Yeah.
think today's the
Yeah.
first day I'm better now. And I'm
Today's
like, well, what
today's
was what was yesterday then? What
it's
was were you
it's it's like stages though. Like when you were first talking to me, the disease was like on the outs. Then I think it's gone. Now I actually feel like I can work out and
Oh yeah?
do like live normal again, where I don't
Okay.
even feel residual like grossness from it. I just kind of
Yeah.
feel like, all right, I've been sick for 2.5 weeks. Now I just need to start working out again and eating good food and all that stuff. Like I gotta
I've
go
been
grocery shopping because I've just been eating like delivery and whatever people have dropped off.
what have you been eating? What delivery have you been eating while you had COVID?
Mostly like Chinese food soups, like
Chinese food
wonton
soups.
soup, hot and sour soup. If I was getting crazy, I'd go
Is
and
that what
get.
you ate when you were a kid?
I do chicken noodle soup, stuff like that.
Okay, I'm just
Yeah.
curious if maybe because that's an interesting choice of soup.
Oh yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's just at this point now, like savory, Southeast Asian and spicy Southeast Asian soups are just kind of comfort food. And I was like, fuck it, I'm dying, so I'm just gonna get whatever I want.
I'll tell you,
So
you got me addicted to Gatorade. I think we talked like 2 episodes ago, and you were talking about getting Gatorade
yep.
to help you out. And then I got Gatorade like that night and totally just like turned my entire like ecosystem around. Like I just felt like a tremendous amount of energy.
Yeah,
And
I feel.
since then I've been drinking a Gatorade a day now just to like keep myself hydrated and like replenished.
I see. I feel like a lot of health nuts and weird people out there hate Gatorade, but if you use it
Yeah.
for its intended purpose of like hydration and glucose calories when you're either expending energy through sport or when you're sick, it really is good. So I
Yeah.
don't know, man. Like,
Well, it's interesting to me that it's just sugar water,
right,
like right,
right,
like, and
right.
I just love how like it was created by some like football coach in
Well, it's also got
Gainesville.
salt and potassium, I think.
Okay,
So
it just seems to me, it just seems like I just like seems to be that like some football coaches like, you know what, maybe my players would rather like would drink more water if I put sugar in it.
yeah,
It just seems like
yeah, right.
that's such a Floridian like answer
How do
to
we
getting
people?
people.
Well, actually, OG Gatorade didn't have a lot of sugar in it.
What's
That's
it? It
that
just had potassium
it
and
mostly like salt. It was like salty water, and then I think they
oh,
put the
okay.
sugar in to mask the salt.
The salt because
Yeah,
the guys are like, Jesus Christ, this
yeah.
is
They're like, what
salty.
the fuck is this?
What are you
Like,
doing, coach? Like, it's giving
yeah,
me energy, but it also my fucking mouth is just dry.
dude, I fucking love that commercial like a couple of years back when they explained the origin of Gatorade, and it's just some swamp hillbilly being like, naturally we called it Gatorade
Oh
because
yeah,
it was for
right.
the
That
Florida
was a good.
Gators. Like,
That was like right when they were finally changing the logo
yeah,
and stuff like that. I miss the original look of Gatorade. I think that. I mean, I know it's just the whole you could attribute it to a whole like, oh, he's getting older. You can't like, you don't like the new shit, but like I don't like what I liked about Gatorade was, unlike Powerade, it didn't seem to be going with this whole extreme vibe
yeah.
of like,
Well, it
of
doesn't
like,
need to.
well, but it does now. Now we got G1 and G2. It's kind of got
Oh
a
yeah.
silver like,
Well,
it's
that's
got
their
kind of like
diet Gatorade.
No,
That's
all the Gatorades I see, it's always. Oh, do I have a bottle right here? An empty bottle of Gatorade somewhere?
it's just full of piss.
Yeah,
It's the COVID.
all,
That's
all
my
my
favorite
Gatorades are
thing
full of
for Gate.
piss.
What got me back into Gatorade and stand-up comedy is the fact that it's wide mouth, so you could just slide your dong in there and rip a piss while you're driving. Learned
Is
that
that
from
something you do?
truckers. Oh
Is that
yeah,
something you, dude?
I've
I
done that.
cannot.
I've done that before.
I
Drive into
can't.
a show and you don't have time to pull over because you're gonna be late and they'll fuck
I
your
feel
pay
like
up.
I
Yeah.
feel like I've got at least another. I think I've always have at least enough time to piss. I don't. That
Uh,
you got to be really under the wire
I
to be in such a rush that you have to make sure you've got one foot on the gas and
Just
one hand on the
wait for
Gatorade
your
bottle.
first blizzard show, man. When you're driving to a
Maybe.
show in a blizzard, you leave like
Yeah, but
4
I told you.
hours early.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. Where you will be halfway there and you've been in the car for 2 hours on what is normally a 1 hour drive, and then you're like, "Good God, I have to piss," and yeah, you're like, "Well, I can't pull over because it's a blizzard and we might get stuck." So I guess we're just gonna add another layer of danger to this drive.
That yeah, exactly. That sounds like a whole fucking bad idea.
Yeah.
Speaking of blizzards, though, I think I know I was talking to you about this when I was there. I am looking into getting a Subaru and swapping my car out because
Oh yeah.
I badly want an all-wheel drive. I want a Subaru. I love Subaru cars. And riding in yours, I was like, God, man, like why am like this is not a luxury that I can't afford. Like, why am I not
If
letting
we're gonna
myself
if we're plugging just products we like besides Gatorade today, I'll back
Gatorade
you up on
by the way, guys,
Subaru.
today's show is brought to you by Gatorade and
Yeah.
Subaru. Use the code OPSTO to go get yourself 50% off some Gatorade.
And a Subaru.
And so yeah, go to your local Subaru dealership, give them the code ABO, and they will give you a free Gatorade as they try to upsell you in a WRX STI.
I'm not gonna lie, man. My first thing I did when I was out, like, could leave the house, I got the okay for being done with quarantine, is I
Who
got an
gave you the
oil
okay?
change. The health department.
You talked.
If you get a positive COVID test, the health department contacts you.
Oh, yeah. See, I got the negative. So
Yeah.
I was like, if anything, they tried to convince me that I didn't
You're
have it. They're like, duh.
fine. Go ahead.
They really were. They're like, just so you know, you don't have it.
I
And I'm like,
think
no, I was like, I have it. They're like, you
no,
might think you have it,
I
but we
think
assure you, you don't.
to keep herd immunity going, they quarantine 9 people and then just one person out of 10 that is sick as fuck. They're like, "You're fine. Get out there. Lick everything."
I think if we're going to start sliding into the whole conspiracy shit at this point, I think because America wants to get the numbers down, they've basically started promoting more and more places to use self-administered tests because they know people won't do them properly and they know it'll bring up more negative results.
Yeah,
And that way they
probably.
can say that there's not as many COVID. Because I had a friend who just recently went, she's feeling the same symptoms I'm feeling in
Yeah.
California. She went to go get tested, hoping she was going to get a positive result because she wanted time off of work.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, she got a negative test. When she told me, I was like, was it self-administered? She's like, yeah. I'm like, you did it wrong. I
Yeah.
promise you, you just
Yeah.
did it wrong.
I
Like
I don't trust
no one's
self-administered COVID
shoving
tests.
that thing up their nose into their brainstem. Like no
No.
one's going to do that.
It
So you're going to,
it has to feel uncomfortable for it to be done right, and I don't know a lot of people that are willing to self-administer an uncomfortable brain scrape test.
right,
It's just
right,
like, no, man, like
right.
that's
Yeah.
ridiculous. But
But the thing is, I have to imagine that whoever designed that test, or at the very least the CVSs and the Rite Aids, are aware of that. They must be aware that this is clearly going to affect the results that we get, but they don't care anymore because we're officially at the 1 year anniversary of COVID. We've realized that it's not as dangerous as we initially thought it was. And we're at a point where we're at, like, quarantine fatigue. So they're just like, okay, we're just gonna slowly let it become part of
it
natural life.
it does seem like, even in Michigan, like, and I think Michigan's probably in the top 5 harshest locked down
Let's find
states.
out. Oh, lockdown. I don't know about that. Yeah.
No, I also know our numbers went up by like 38%. When we all got sick,
Yeah.
Michigan was going through like a mini surge. I'm like, all right, well, that fucking tracks because anecdotally we're all sick and
Yeah.
we're 38% of the population of Michigan. But uh even in such a harshly locked down state, I would say around town, I just feel this like it's over feeling. Like more and more people are getting the vaccine, and I'm seeing
But
more and more
that's
things open
also
up.
the general attitude of the news
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the country is like we're pretty much like, okay, we're done. We're these are the final months. We're
right,
officially wrapping this up. And I think people have gone to a point where it's like we no longer need an official date. It's enough
right,
just to believe like, look, we're over the worst of it. Okay. We have a vaccine. We have
yeah,
multiple vaccines.
yeah,
We're administering the vaccines. We've gotten now like 15-20% of the population.
yeah,
We gave you we gave you that stimulus check. We've been promising you for months. We're going to start opening things up again. And so
yeah,
that's why, yeah, I think like doing things like not giving people, like having people administer their own tests, not really worrying about getting an official tally
right,
is becoming kind of okay with everyone because they're like, well, I mean, that's the thing. Most people don't really look at the science. They just look at the media and they go, tell me it's okay to go outside.
right. I
Tell
that
me I'm allowed.
and it's funny that you bring up the science because it's like, I was watching this back in January, February of 2020 before it
I
really
know.
hit
I
us,
know.
and now I'm watching the variants in South Africa and Brazil, and not even the ones that have made the news already, but like there's newer, more aggressive variants that have stemmed off from those variants already. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of, I've talked to a few epidemiologists about this, and they're like, yeah, that's just like virus 101. Like, that's going to
Right.
happen. And the thing is, what they're hoping is that they haven't even done tests on these new viruses. They just hope the vaccines are efficient enough to keep people out of the hospitals, even with the newest, like, double variants now, or the second stem of variants. And I was talking to one the Michigan State virologist, somebody in the epidemiology department, but they're like, by third or fourth strain mutations, they're like, yeah, usually they're different enough that you're going to see way more vaccine failures, but their hope is that they vaccinate enough people to stop most of the variants that, you know, then it quells whatever new ones come out. I'm like,
Yeah, I
this
get
is
it.
ridiculous. Hey, morning, OG Yondo.
Oh,
Yando's in
Yondo's
the chat.
finally here,
Yeah, what's
man. Yeah,
up,
I'm
dude?
trying to.
Morning.
It's hard
Uh,
to fucking keep track of these.
but
I've got news articles opened up on my phone as well as the chat.
yeah, yeah. Um, well, I don't want to turn this into a full conspiracy about COVID. If you had some other issues you want to talk about,
Some
but
other issues. This is
yeah,
okay. That's a nice way of putting it. Well,
yeah,
I was just like, well, this is hot off the press,
okay,
apparently.
all right.
Thomas Middleditch, you know who he is?
Is
Because I
that
wouldn't
Loki?
know.
Is he Loki?
You
Tom
know what's
Middleditch?
funny? You know what's funny is he kind of looks like Loki. That's hilarious.
I'm dead ass. Is
That's
that not the
no,
actor?
it's no, it's not. It's not. It's not.
Oh
It's
shit!
not
Is he
Loki.
from
Yeah,
Silicon Valley?
yeah, he's
The
Silicon Valley
comedian.
kid.
Yep, yep,
But
yep, yep.
he does look like now I can't remember who Loki is. Who's Loki? Tom,
Tom.
Thomas.
I can't remember.
Now I got to look up Loki because I'm just so I was like that's hilarious because that does sound like him. Who plays
Yeah,
Loki?
I kind of feel bad. Yondo in the
You feel
chat
bad?
here.
You
Yeah,
feel
I
bad
feel bad. I was
for
like, whatever, dude. It's Tom Middleditch. Now I'm calling a nerdy kid Loki, and they
Tom Hiddleston?
hit. Okay, I'm in
Tom
the
Middleditch.
ballpark.
Well, it's just funny because I'm sure people will get him confused. Oh god, I just
Maybe.
lose the fucking
But
article. Here we go. Tom Middleditch, not to be accused with Thomas Hiddleston.
okay.
Thomas Middleditch of Silicon fame is accused of sexual misconduct and allegations stemming from now closed Hollywood club. The now closed Hollywood club is kind of funny to me
What is
because it's
that?
just like, well, obvious. What is a now closed Hollywood
Oh, I
club?
thought that was a cheeky name. I'm like, what a dumb fucking name. I'm like, what a
Yo,
dumb
we're going to
fucking
now
name.
close. You coming,
Yeah,
bitch?
yeah. Well, I don't know. That seems like an
It's the
LA
club
energy.
that looks like it's closed.
Couldn't you see some in Echo Park being
No,
like, "Yo,
100%.
dude, it's the fucking closed club,
Dude,
but it's
one of
open."
the
Like,
things that is so like over like hyped in Hollywood that you go to one of them and then just like you're over it is the speakeasy clubs that
yeah,
are just it's like what you're it's not even the thing about it is like it's all about the entrance.
yeah,
You're not everyone knows what it is.
right,
It doesn't look really that conspicuous because It looks very conspicuous because you always have to wait in a line because everybody wants to do it.
Like,
There's
hey,
just a
why is
line to
everybody
get
waiting
in.
in a line in front of that Diet Coke
Right.
machine? You're like,
Right.
fucking
So I'll
stupid.
never forget. I was going with my buddies to this club, and I'm like, we're waiting this line. I'm like, why are we waiting such a like? I don't like lines.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, we get to we get to this house, and it looks kind of like like boarded up and empty. I'm like, okay, well, this is fucking like. I was like, this is another hipster bullshit bar. And then you walk into a bedroom with like 17 other people, like you're about to go to an escape room,
Is it
and then some
actually a
flapper
speakeasy?
comes out. What
Or
was an
is
actual
it licensed
speakeasy?
up? An
Everything's
actual
licensed
speakeasy?
up. There,
Okay.
no. Of course, you're not gonna be an actual
See, that's what I'm
speakeasy
talking about.
and have a
That's
line
kinda
out the
fucking
door.
dumb. That's kind of fucking dumb.
Well, I don't know if you heard, Lewis. Maybe your dad didn't tell you, but prohibition ended a few decades ago.
Yeah, but you can still
So
not have a liquor license and be a speakeasy.
yeah,
That's
you're
what this
probably
fucking place
yeah
turned
in
into
Georgia
once a month.
maybe in the middle of the middle of Wyoming perhaps, but in down in West Hollywood. Nah, you better make sure you've got that liquor license, especially
yeah.
to be a popular place. But they were just so popular, and I remember every time I went, I was like, this is so boring. And a lot of times I would go there, and because they were so busy, they would just like I'll never forget. There's a place called like Davy Wang's.
Yeah.
I think that's the name of it. You enter into a fridge, which also makes no sense. You walk through like the front door, and it's like suddenly you're in like a fake kitchen, walking through a fridge, and I'm like, well, this doesn't even seem. This has just got like suspicious written all over it.
Like it's a fridge they converted, or like 100% a fake fridge? Because I like some of the whimsy of like these.
What do you mean converted? What do you mean converted?
Like was it like a Disney theme park, like a fake wall with a fake fridge, or was it like a real fridge that they?
Yeah, it's like you're walking into a fake. Like I think it was supposed to be like
okay.
I think Davy Wang's like a garage. It's like a garage you're walking into. It's got like a bunch of shit lying around, and one of the things that's lying there is a fridge. And you open the door to the fridge, you walk in, and you're still leaving the speakeasy. But a lot of times we went there because they were so busy that the fridge door would just be left open.
Yeah,
and people would be walking in and out of it.
You're like,
so
yeah,
it's
that's
like
kind of ruining
the one illusion that makes this place, worth coming to. So I don't remember how we got on the speakeasy thing. Right. The Hollywood Club. So yeah, so it is. Yeah, so it is believable there would be a club called Now Closed in Hollywood. That's actually like so accurate to the style of clubs that Hollywood produces.
I'm not gonna lie, that's like part of me was like, it either means a club that didn't make it through the pandemic, or it's a dumb fucking name for a club, and I figured it was a 50-50 shot. So
this is Hollywood Reporter too. In a Los Angeles report, the actor is accused of groping a woman in front of her friends and several employees at the Cloak and Dagger nightclub.
Okay.
Cloak and Dagger,
also,
which is
weird name for a club.
I mean that makes sense because Cloak and Dagger is just one of those names that I remember there was a video game named Cloak and Dagger, but it had nothing to do with spying, and there was like a movie called Cloak and Dagger. It just sounds cool.
Yeah, you're right.
And who knows? Maybe it was a nightclub that was themed in a way where
that place that Tom Middlebitch would want to hang. I got
whose co-founders are in turn being accused of ignoring the complaints.
Okay. Yeah, that's
so now not only Tom Middleditch under suspicion, but we have the feeling that the owners of the club are now also guilty, because apparently they were probably getting tons of. It was all about Tom, I'm sure too. It was just constant complaints about, Tom keeps on grabbing people. It's like, he's Silicon Valley.
I don't know, man. Like, is it bad that I'm like not even shocked? I'm like, yeah, okay, that sucks. Like, just another guy kind of probably drunk on both literal alcohol and power.
That's what I want to talk about. Is like, I haven't read the whole thing yet because
he thinks we keep saying Middlebitch.
Tom Middlebitch. Well, he's about to become Tom Middlebitch.
Dude, he's gonna go
when he's in Los Angeles. He's in Los Angeles prison. Actor comedian Tom Middlebitch is being accused of sexual misconduct at a now shuttered goth nightclub in Los Angeles in 2019. The Los Angeles Times on Sunday published a report about the Hollywood club Cloak and Dagger, in which almost 10 women.
Whoa.
Jesus.
That's a serial assaulter, right?
Including 4 former staffers. accused Adam Braven and Michael Patterson, co-founders of the now closed club Cloak and Dagger, of turning a blind eye to sexual misconduct among members of the club, as well as its many music festivals.
God damn.
What do you do though? Like, and don't get me wrong, I had a business, and I had a woman tell me that one of the guys who was coming over was an accused rapist, and I said to her, I was like, look, if you're ever in a room with a guy and he does something that makes you uncomfortable, like, I'm not gonna pretend like I'm gonna kick his ass. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not a strong guy, but I want you to know you can tell me, and I will make sure I do whatever I can about it.
Yeah.
But what I would have done was just I would have said, like, sorry, like I would have investigated it. I would have just been like, okay, I would have asked the guy questions. I would have tried to get to the bottom of it. If I could find out that he did it for sure,
but you're
I
talking
would kick
like
him out.
Like a day job, like a water cooler type of situation, where it's like, dude,
No,
this is a
this is an open.
nightclub where you don't need to be.
Oh,
like just
we are getting a different take than I expected here.
Yeah,
Okay,
man, it's
you think about where you are.
Right.
You're at a nightclub.
Like, if
there's alcohol. Did you look in the mirror? Look at how you're dressed.
Space. Like, Erickson, if you ran, it'd be a hilarious production company where everybody's just getting ripped at 10 a.m. and dancing and be like, hey, you guys gonna get those edits and podcasts?
That's
like,
honestly, that sounds like pretty much what Logan Paul's life is like.
Yeah,
so
well,
that might...
no shit, right? But I'm sure there's one or two sober guys on that team that he pays just
right.
enough
Yeah,
to
no,
keep
there's definitely some real people there who are getting work
like,
done.
Dude, there's the people he's like, this is my producer, but then like the producer you don't see behind the camera who's actually producing.
Right.
But no, man, my whole point being is just like, yo, if multiple people say, you don't even need to be an LA fucking club to do this. You can see this in college bars. If there's a gropey dude at a college bar, you just have a bouncer watch him for 5 more minutes. Be like, oh yeah, he is groping the shit out of people, and then his ass gets fucking bounced. But where we're at right now, dude, I'm like, yeah, you're probably gonna catch a charge or worse. Like,
well, this is what I've been thinking about a lot lately. Because I've been spending time on Tinder, been spending time on Hinge. I've been trying to get back in on the game, so to speak. I'm trying to find some. You're gonna
start reading some books about being a.
I was actually thinking about buying the Art of Seduction again.
You gonna be a pickup artist? Wait, did you say the Art of Seduction again?
Yeah, I'm gonna buy the Art of Seduction.
Well,
I owned it. I owned it back when I was 20, and I lent it out to a chick, and she never gave it back to me.
Why did you lend it to a chick?
Because I thought, I wanted to help her. I don't know. I was just maybe I was probably trying to get laid in some way.
I thought that shit was catered towards like straight.
No, you're thinking. See, you're thinking of the game, the Art of Seduction. See, that's you falling for your bias and just believing.
I'm an alpha chat. I've never needed a book to tell me how to get it.
It's not telling you how to get it. It's a book that studied the Art of Seduction and brings it up in different parts of history and kind of breaks it down into different seduction types of seducers, types of anti-seducers, and kind of gives you a good history list of the different ways people have used seduction throughout history.
Yeah.
But it's a nice primer of reminding you, like, okay, this is kind of how it works to a certain extent. It's what's his name? Fucking something Green. Not Tom Green. Tom Middlebitch, Tom Green. Tom Middlebitch, Loki, the guy, the sexual abuser, Tom Green, the guy who writes Robert Green. Robert Green, I think his name is. Robert Green. Famous writer. He wrote, you ever hear the 42 Laws of Power? Or maybe it's 48 Laws of Power. 48 Laws of Power?
No.
Jesus, dude, these are books. You got to read these books. If you like Stoicism books that are about history, but also about just interesting topics, buy the 48 Laws of Power.
Okay.
Fuck, maybe I'll buy it for you. Do you have a Kindle?
No, I don't.
Get a Kindle. If you show me you bought a Kindle, I will buy you the 48 Laws of Power.
How much is a Kindle?
Like $100.
How much is the book?
Like 12.
I probably am just gonna buy the book.
But the thing is, you buy the Kindle, it's kind of like you teach a man to fish kind of thing, except this time I'm just teaching a man to buy a Kindle. You'll have so many. I'll be able to gift you books forever.
Books are my last bastion against the digital world. I still like analog books.
I was with you, dude, but after carrying 3 or 4 books on the LA subway for half a year, you realize a Kindle is one of the best ever made inventions in the world.
I've learned it on the road because I used to bring 3 books with me when I was on the road.
Right.
And you know what I do? I bring 1 Because when you have one book, it forces you to read that, and then you're
Right,
like,
but then you finish it and you don't have anything else to read. It just
well,
sucks.
then you hit up a gas station and get some smut.
Oh yeah, that's exactly gonna
Yo, man,
fix
I'm not
my.
gonna lie. There are some fun articles in the jugs where you're like, okay, there's
There's some fun
graphic.
articles in.
Yeah, there's just
Do you
graphic pornography, and then you
do you
just
say
read
that?
a
Do you
hot
say
take
that?
on the Clinton
Is that
Foundation.
is that what you say to the clerk behind the counter? Is like, yo, I'm just buying it for the
No,
articles, man.
I'm just I first of all go like, hey, I know it's 2021 because I've been doing this recently. I'm like, but y'all got any of that analog pornography books? Also, Mike Mahaffey has us in the background. Sorry if we're turning you on at work now, but talking
He
about
says he's got.
porn.
How do you know he has it in the background? I don't even
He
see it.
said, "Sup, bitches, got you all in the background as I'm doing some paperwork,
Okay, I'm
helping my
clearly.
productivity."
Then you're clearly able to see the chat that I'm not able to see. Well, welcome to the live chat. Okay, whatever. Anyway, getting back to okay, but it's funny that you bring it. Well, we'll get to it into it in a second. Wait. Among the accusations are those against Middlebitch. I don't know where my glasses. Who broke out with his role on HBO Silicon Valley and now stars on CBS freshman comedy Be Positive.
Jesus Christ, that sounds like a show
But
where
man,
people are gonna go on
the world is just turning into a mad TV sketch.
Yeah, for
In the
real.
report, Hannah Harding details the alleged incident at the LGBTQ friendly members only club. I thought it was a goth club.
Is this a
I
different
thought it was a
club?
goth club. It's the same club.
Wow, man.
There's just so many different aspects that just like the LGBT,
It's a
Lou,
goth
there's so many different
LGBT club.
dimensions to this club.
Yeah.
LGBT friendly members club at which a typical night featured experimental artists performing eerie sexually charged ceremonies each week in the back rooms of the Pig and Whistle bar, according to the LA Times.
I gotta tell you, Erickson, how long were you? You were in LA for about a decade.
Yeah, 9 years.
Did like any of that weirdo? And I'm
I'm
sorry, but like weirdo. But like, did any of that just kind of oddball LA shit ever appeal to you? Where people like,
no,
we're gonna go to the Pig and Whistle and watch a séance and get drunk and maybe have an orgy? Like,
no, I'm lame. I'm lame though. I don't do a lot of drugs, and
you might be LA lame, but
that's
that's like what I hated is like the short time, and I'm sorry about the tangent here, but the short time I was in
go
LA,
on.
Everybody kept talking about like, oh, dude, you've never been to a party like an LA party where they're like, oh, there's celebrities and coke and it's like you haven't been to a party. I'm like, first of all, yes, I fucking have. Like, I can't believe people are pompous about partying. You dumb, arrogant fucks. Like, you haven't been to a party unless you've been ass hammered on moonshine with fucking quads crashing into each other as cops and drug dealers are firing their guns off into the sky together. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, when you bring pomparity to good times, you automatically are lame. And then secondly, I feel like there was so much circus in the parties, like the shit you're reading right now, where I'm like, dude, the aspect that makes a party badass or not are the people. The setting is almost always second to the people that are at the party.
Tom Middlebitch was here.
Yeah,
he's just a celebrity we know of. He's just a celebrity we know about. There might have been other celebrities there as well.
You ever think another celebrity ever fucking Gillette commercials another celebrity because they recognize they're about to fuck their career up? So he's just like, whoa, man, don't be groping. You're gonna fuck your career.
Man,
up.
I mean, honestly, if I saw that, I would actually have a little bit more respect for the movement. I think what more likely happens is this: they keep it, they watch it, they film it on their phone, and they use it as blackmail.
Probably to fuck somebody and take over their career. But hey, Erickson, I don't know if you can hear me right now. We got you a little bit frozen on the screen.
Now we're back.
Now we're back. Yeah.
I think if anything, they take that shit. They instead of saying something, which I would have a lot of respect for, I think.
Man, we are having them technical difficulties right now. I don't know if it's my internet or your internet, but there it is.
Again, I should be back now. I should be back. Hopefully, we'll see what happens.
You on Wi-Fi or hardwired, my man?
Wi-Fi, dude. I'm at my dad's place. Like, there's only so many options, and my dad's Wi-Fi sucks. My dad's internet sucks. That's the thing. We still have like a generation or two ahead of us of people who don't understand the value of technology, so they don't they don't invest.
Yeah.
My dad's excited because his Verizon guy got him 5G on his phone. I was like, dude, there's no 5G anywhere except for New York and San Francisco.
But he's microchipped up now, so they got him.
No, yeah. Well, he's vaxxed up, so he's really microchipped
Oh
up. So,
God, they
but
got both of them, huh?
yeah. Well,
They're gonna
that's how they get
know
him.
where he is and what he's doing.
I know. You're gonna know that he's been in Pipersville most of his life now. At this point, it's just cutting down trees.
Yeah.
All I was saying is I think that when that shit happens,
Mhm.
they probably use it as blackmail.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what's sad. If they did just go, yo, dude, that's kind of fucked up. I'd actually have respect for the fact that Hollywood is kind of
Policing
like
its own.
yeah, and
Yeah.
actually like standing by what it says it is. But I think whoever wrote this article is probably just somebody that like saw it and saw an opportunity, and instead of like probably talking to Middlebitch was like, yo, I'm gonna make myself get a promotion to Hollywood Reporter.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, one of the fun conspiracies we had on the morning show this week was like Bill Burr being on
A cuck.
the Golden Globes or whatever the hell.
Uh-huh.
Um,
That was so I meant to talk to you about that last week. That
right.
was so cringy.
I didn't see like any of it except for the small clips we brought up, but we all kind of came to the conclusion of like in the progressive era that these award shows are, some producer that also had stake in TMZ stories was like, how about we have Bill Burr, a conservative white comedian who's known for being pretty like, not give a fuck, he's got his following and hilarious, and just put him in a room where he's a bull in a china shop.
Well,
And
it's a number of things. They really are setting. You're right. They are setting him up to fail because like there was barely any audience
yeah,
because it's COVID. So it's not even actors and celebrities. It's first responders who, for some reason, we're able to convince that they're getting some sort of prize
right.
by getting to go to the award ceremony that nobody who you'd want to see at a reward ceremony is going to.
Yeah,
all the celebrities, all the reasons why we are jealous of award ceremonies and are excited about them, those people are staying at home and coming in through Zoom calls. So it's just you, this honestly, from a lot of people's perspective, probably this washed up old white dude comedian who you never really watched that much to begin with, doing jokes that are, to an empty crowd, like, that to a TV screen. Like he would say the joke, and then this dude, it was like something out of like an Idiocracy sequel.
Yeah.
Because it's just so weird to hear this guy talk to an empty room, try to make jokes.
Did you listen to it? Because Yondo brought it up in the chat here. He still had people laughing. The few clips I saw, it was like if you recorded a comedy set where your phone couldn't get the loudness of the laughter, but you could still hear like soft, hard laughter in the background.
Right. Well, there's some people there. And they're just happy to be out, and they're trying to have a good time.
Well, dude, I did watch some of the behind the scenes stuff, and like the few scenes I saw, I'm a fan of Bill Burr, and he was doing what he does. It had me chuckling. I'm like, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I think he's a great comic. I think what he did up there is 100% Bill. But like I think you're right that like whoever decided to put him up there was probably deep down being like, I bet that he'll probably say something that will get us more attention, because let's face it, award ceremonies are definitely going down the gutter.
Had that news not had broken, I wouldn't even known was it the
exactly
Grammys?
I think it was the Grammys. Yeah, it was the Grammys.
Exactly. I barely know the Oscars are
exactly.
Coming up,
I didn't even know
Netflix.
They did the Grammys last year. I didn't even know they had done them last year. I thought we were putting a hold on award ceremonies because let's be honest, no one's doing anything right now.
Hollywood's just doing the drama department shit, man. It's the drama kids needing the attention, so they're making it.
And that's what this article seems like. On the night of October 22nd, 2019, Harding says Middlebitch approached her on the dance floor and made what the Times described as lewd sexual overture. Yeah, this is all just sounding once again like a night at the club. This is just sounding like,
I was
like this is just
I'm not taken away from
I don't even like clubs
that happened, but I'm like, what you just described is any man going up to any woman at one of those at any of those nightclubs. Like,
let's not jump to conclusions, because I do hate it when people immediately assume they know the whole story before they even finish the article. I'm just saying,
man, like if you're
toward her and her girlfriend after she turned him down.
Okay, all right.
After she turned him down, He kept pursuing her, groping her in front of her friends and several employees,
Yeah,
including the
right.
club's
That's
operations
not
manager,
good.
Kate Morgan.
That's bad.
Well, at that point, like, get him out of the fucking
Yeah,
place. Like,
exactly.
just
Bounce his
pull him out,
ass. Get
kick him out,
fucked out,
knock him the
bro.
fuck out. Um,
See, and
but
that's what I'm talking
also,
about when there's the
also,
complaint. It's like, yeah, watch him. You don't need a court here. Like, oh yeah, he's groping people. Get him the fuck out of here. And
Morgan
then,
told the Times that she asked her bosses, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt,
yeah,
Bravin
you're
and
good.
Patterson to kick him out and ban him from the club, but they dismissed it, probably because he's a celebrity. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Probably because he's a celebrity. But I don't know if that's going to change. Meanwhile, Harding showed direct messages from Middleditch on Instagram to the Times. And we've got to stop this. Like, if actors don't this is, I mean, okay, there's so much I want to
Yeah,
untangle
you're
here.
heated. You're
Like,
contextualize and
well,
go. Focus
because
this anger.
on the one hand, I feel like you got to know better.
Yeah.
Like, you got to understand at this point as a man. And I was thinking about this literally last night. Like, we are fucked. I don't care what the media wants to tell you. I don't care what the narrative is that like men have it better than anyone else in the world, that we control everything and women are just, it's a man's world. Women are
You
just
going
living in
full
it.
red pill on me?
Like women have, at least when it comes to the dating world, okay, when it comes to the world of sex, love, and company, women have more power than they've ever had in their entire existence, at least in America, at least in this country. Because it used to be like, as a guy, you wanted to hook up with a chick, whether it's because you knew she had straight A's, whether it's because you knew she was a good Christian, or maybe it's because she looked really fucking good in a tight skirt. But either way, you were attracted to her. And usually, if you were the average dude, you probably didn't have a surefire way to make that happen. You're playing it by ear. You're figuring it out as you go along. Maybe you read a book and then your buddy makes fun of you about it because you like to absorb knowledge. Maybe you watch a video. Maybe you just learn what your uncle did. Either way, you try something, and most of the time it fails. And the worst case scenario was she would tell her friends, she'd tell everyone at school, she'd tell the coworkers, and you'd have to move to a new city, get a new job, find a new school, and start all over the new pool of people with the lessons learned of what didn't work. But now, if you make one wrong mistake, the entire country will know. There will be documented evidence of your conversation and the stupid shit you said to them, thinking it was going to be fly or sly or kind of like sexy. And now you are a misanthropic, misogynist incel who just doesn't understand how creepy they are and needs to go to education camp and learn how to be a proper human. And I'm just saying, like, with that kind of pressure on men, I'm not saying what Middlebitch did is okay, but I'm just saying the fact that we're creating this environment where men have to constantly be worried about what it is we do and say around women to a level of like, we don't even want to approach you now, at least. And
Well,
maybe I'm wrong.
you're not wrong. You're just kind of hedging from this particular case where it's like cut and dry. I'm like, yeah, dude's being a creep. You can't do that. Like,
well, he should get if he's grabbing women. If he's grabbing women, he should be kicked out.
Right.
If he's yes.
You're talking about. I think, like, I was joking, but it's like I've heard Red Pill and MGTOW dudes talk about this, where they're like, you know, guys are so fear struck now. Like, male CEOs won't even go to dinner with like female employees. I've seen write-ups about that. Well, no, I've even seen like this is like HuffPost stuff where you like it's coming from that camp, and and you're just kind of like, well, I don't know about you. I read HuffPost and I'm like, yeah, this leans pretty hard one way. But when that is even making it into the HuffPost, I'm like, okay, like clearly there's something going on here. And I will say it's kind of a two-pronged thing where I'm like, you know, it's good that men need to yeah, we got super easy to not worry about being labeled a misogynist creep. Just don't be a dick. Yeah, like
yeah, exactly. Right. That's always the answer, right? Just don't be a dick. Well, yeah, it's so clear. But like, you don't understand that so many people can interpret your attentions as poor.
Here's the thing. I think what Mike's getting at, and kind of how I feel as well. Like, I definitely felt the pressure more as a guy to like triple check my actions now. But I'm like, okay, not a bad thing. And then I'm not sure if more guys are being accused now or if it's just exposing more guys. Like, what do you think? Do you think more guys are fucking up now, or do you just think more guys are being exposed because the technology's out there to
I
now
think
show it?
I
Because it's like you
think
talk
I
about, the 80s, right? Glorified as a time of wonderment and carefree, you know, love and all that. But it's like you watch the humor, and I still think the classic movies at the time, 16 Candles and all that, are hilarious. But like the casual date rape jokes that are made, where you're just like, oh yeah, like this was probably actually a pretty goddamn big issue. And now, like, fast forward to the future, where I see what you're talking about. Like Middlebitch does this, probably a drunk fuck up. Could have been, written off as like
and I'm not supporting him, by the way.
no,
I'm
I
sure he
know you're
fucks
not.
children.
It's not.
I'm sure this is just the tip of the iceberg of what he does.
Right. I know you're not dying on a hill for Middlebitch here.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like you're
What I
talking
do
about
find
a systemic problem where you're like, we live in a culture where I don't know, you're feeling like the
where
damnation is too extreme. What do we say?
well, no,
Personally, I
no,
think
no.
it's the
Let me
latter. More people are being exposed. Okay.
let
Sorry,
me answer.
my fault.
I was answer your question a little
Yeah.
bit more with a little bit more of a nuanced uh, answer, in the sense that what I think is happening right now, at least in this, what we're talking right now is in this scenario.
Yeah.
Not in middle bitch, but just in general with men and women, is that the power dynamics between men and women are changing drastically, right? Because thanks to the internet, there's this new kind of playing field where women have a lot more of a voice
Mm-hmm.
than they've ever had before. And just as people, we are a lot more publicly exposed than we ever have been. And one of the things that's changing now is that the not even just men's, our behavior and our attempts to socialize and learn how to socialize are becoming more public and more permanent. Our
Right.
attempts to interact. So, for
Do
instance,
you
with
think
this,
that's bad?
it's here's one of the blowbacks of it, is that one of the blowbacks is men trying to court women now is becoming a more public event. Like I said, it used to
Okay.
be you approached a girl at, like, for the first time at, like, your middle school dance,
Mm-hmm.
and she says no, everyone sees it and you're embarrassed, and that's that. It used to be you approach a girl at a bar, you try to be, what your idea of an alpha is, or what you've seen work with other men in the past. It blows up in your face, and you don't go back to that bar for like 8 months to a year, and you just try to find a whole new pool of people to interact with. Now it's, you say a few things, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stupid shit you can say. I've seen a lot of dumb shit
You're talking
that men,
shoot your shot type of stuff.
yeah,
Like
people
the
shoot your
shoot your
shot, and
shot's different.
right, you shoot. Well, and also we're coming from an old place where, like, things that used to work are no longer working,
Yeah.
or at the very least they're being publicly shamed to a point that even if they used to work, people are feeling a pressure not to let them work. Look, I happen to have been alive during this transitional period, and I remember what it was like going after. I've been going after women since I was 9, and I
Jesus, man.
moment in my life. That didn't sound right, did it?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I was
Hollywood
like, is that a
reporter,
humble
unknown
brag?
podcaster, and supposed comedian
Yeah.
Ericson Just claims he's been going after
Yeah,
women
I'm like,
since
Jesus
9 years old.
Christ, dude.
This is my point. This is my point. Everything we do as men now is under a
Okay,
microscope.
no, how you phrased that was fucking hilarious, and I'm not letting you get away with that.
Yeah, whatever.
Since 9 years old, I was a little poon.
I
hound.
mean, and here's the thing. I wasn't successful. I was a nice guy. I was a nice guy from from elementary school all the way to high school. I was always listening to women, talking to them, sharing their feelings, trying to help them with their problems. I didn't do their homework. I was just a shade away from that, being that cucked.
Okay.
But I always struck out. Girls just never wanted to be with me. They always saw me as a friend. They never wanted to be with me. All of a sudden, around senior year, I started realizing that women really respond to assholes, and I started lying to them. I started acting lascivious. I started being way more like touchy feely. I called them sweetheart. I would there's plenty of them out there, guys. If you really need a book about this shit. And it worked. It worked. And a lot of the things and sometimes it didn't, but a lot of times it did. And I look back at those situations, and trust me, even when it worked, I've been, since the day I was born, I've been a nervous Nelly about consent. And I think about consent. It's this realization I've always
Hang
made.
on, that's the sound clip this
It's
week.
not this
I've been a
realization
nervous Nelly about
about
consent.
consent.
Could you have
I've
said
not
a
only
more
that.
serious sentence with a more dipshitted, goofy way of phrasing it?
No.
Guys, I'm just flabbergasted when people don't give consent. Oh my God. I'm tiddlywinks over getting a yes.
But what I'm saying is, like, and I'm not even going to pretend it comes from a noble place. It comes from a place that I genuinely don't believe someone's into me.
In the chat. I'm gonna.
Well, can you hold it for when I'm done?
Yeah.
Okay. I genuinely didn't believe that people. Like, it took a lot for me to believe a girl was into me because I'd struck out so much that a girl basically has to be ripping my clothes off for me to really finally decide to, like, to participate in the activity of copulation, whatever, how you say it.
Yeah, copulating.
Yeah. So my point is, but as I've gotten older now, as I've gotten older now, and as the internet's become more and more public, and we have, like, screen grabs and, like, more vocalizations about, like, the way men treat women, I'm noticing that those strategies don't work anymore, and if anything, they're scary to even try, because you could end up getting fucking labeled as some sort of, like, misogynist creep on the internet, and there's almost no way to escape it.
Well, yeah, I think you kind of answered your own goddamn question there, man.
What? What?
The old tactics of being a misogynist creep are being called out, and here's the thing, man. Like, I'm not gonna deny what you're saying, because I feel like shows like Euphoria on HBO and a few other, like, newer teen dramas that are out kind of capture how much screen chats and framing can be done in the modern age. With modern technology comes new problems. And I would say phasing out old creepy ways of courting women's not a bad thing.
But here's the thing. This is what I'm saying. They weren't creepy to these women. The way that I was getting with these girls back in the day, they were turned on by. They liked it. They enjoyed the courtship. Now, I don't know about those same women, but now it seems that now there's an attitude, a cultural movement that this is not behavior. I'm not saying there aren't women who didn't like it. There are definitely women who don't like it when a guy shits on them.
Stating the truth without recognizing it.
I'm recognizing it. What I'm trying to point out, though, is that you have to acknowledge that there's a growing movement of people. When you start to shame this behavior, and you see that it becomes highlighted as poor behavior, and it becomes a mainstream attitude and almost a meme that this is behavior we should shun, more and more people start to endorse that attitude. And now we are basically saying, here's my point. We're in a transitional period now where we're redefining the way men and women interact.
Okay.
But there is no positive coming out of it. There's just shame and gotcha of the idea that men are just terrible sexual predators and they need to be punished. It's like, okay, well, they've been operating. It's like, what do you want a man to be? What do you want a man to be? What do you? I'm not saying that a guy who corners a woman and, like, shoves a chloroform napkin over her face and rapes in the bathroom is a decent dude. That guy deserves to be put in jail.
Yeah, good hot take.
Yeah, I'm just saying. But you have to also understand that a guy who has, like, been living life like a normal person, has been trying to figure out how to get. It's not a secret that men want women to be attracted to them. Men want, and we would like many of them.
We gotta pump the brakes here, because you brought up like a lot of points.
Yeah, I know.
Some anecdotal on your own end, and then some like the society. Well, no, like you talked about how you changed. Like you used to be the nice guy, and then
what I'm saying,
the lavacious dick.
But I wasn't the only guy who's experienced this, and I definitely talked to. I've seen this behavior in a lot of men. There's a reason why the pickup artistry shit actually ended up working.
Is a thing for a reason. I'm not denying nothing you said was like off the mark. I'm just saying, as the evolution of time goes, and here's the anecdotal experience I kind of want to bring up from you, and then bring up my own anecdotal, and then kind of counterpoint to what you were saying, because let's table the fact that everything is like now permanent in public record. A screenshot can be permanent in public record. That's its own thing that I'm like, I've got opinions about that, and there's good things and bad things about that. But it's the new courting technology, if you will, sliding into somebody's DMs. But like the old school method, nice guy turned bad boy, some of those things still work, and it's like I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I don't claim to even be, know what the hell's going on in people's noodles, but I do know, from my own anecdotal experience throughout middle school, high school, and early college, some chicks are just attracted to that douchebag guy for whatever reason. But when it comes to like courting, right? And you were talking about one thing I wanted to ask you, because is great that OG Yando asked for the definition of lavicious. You used it. I was like, ooh, livacious, lavicious.
Yeah.
But so you talk about like maybe not manipulations, but putting up.
I think I said lascivious, but yes, go on.
Yeah, right. But you're playing into whatever character you think will get you laid, right?
Yes,
yes. And as a guy, we've all been there. It's hilarious to watch.
That's what I'm saying.
One of the funniest people watching moments out there at a bar or at a party, if like you're having kind of a low key night and you just want some fun people watching, watch the guy trying to get laid.
Right.
Because they're saying and doing anything. They're not them. They're whatever the fuck they think is going to get them laid. And it's a fun time to watch, as long as they don't slide into Creepville, right? No.
But you don't get, a lot of guys don't figure out how not to slide into creep. This is why, as a comedian, I really
creepy.
expect you to understand this, is that you understand that you do not get to the gold without bombing. You don't get good without making mistakes.
So for sure, but some of the, and when mistakes are creepy and fucked up, I'll say in my anecdote time, I've not been proud of some of the times I've been at the bar. Like 100%. I think we've all been there. And what did I do from that? You feel immense shame, and you should learn and grow from it.
Yes.
But I will tell you this much, like the anecdote of like bad boy, nice guy, all that shit. And this is something that some people call me an alpha Chad because like only I could get away with doing that or shit like that. But like pure blunt, like just being as blunt as possible has worked the most for me in my life. I have zero game, never been a smooth operator.
You have to acknowledge you're tall and have now attractive.
Recently more attractive at 25 when I lost all the weight. When you gotta understand, when I was kind of a tubby bearded, but
you're still tall, and I'd like to sweaty I'd also we should definitely do an episode where you show me all the chicks you were banging before you were attractive, and we'll see if we can rate them. And
I'm not gonna do that.
Put
chicks on blast. These are all the women I've had sex with. Yeah, all right.
You see, but that's the kind of thing that we can't do anymore, and I just miss it. That's all I'm saying.
Like, oh, they took that one away from us.
That's a fun thing to do. Women do it all the time. I'm sure women.
A fucking public podcast.
If they did, we would call it sensational and women taking the power back.
We'll start the male counterpart show to guys we fucked, and we'll call.
Let's get Elena on here. Let's get Elena. Let's get Elena to show us all the guys she's fucked, and we can judge those first. And that way it'll be even.
Well, no, there's isn't there the podcast Two Girls Host Guys We Fuck or something like that?
Well, that's my point. The women do it, and suddenly it's like, well, this is totally understandable.
Pictures and give their names, bud.
Okay, well then how about this? Well, you'll show me the pictures, and I'll just describe them.
Okay, sure.
And I'll be like, that's definitely a 4. Either way, what you touched upon that was really the focus of what I was trying to say is that you're right. Watching a guy learn how to pick up women is a funny thing to watch, because there is a process in learning on how to court women. And unless somebody wants to prove me wrong, but I don't think we can all agree, it is right now still considered the man's job to do the courting. Men are the ones auditioning for women to say, yes, I'll give you a shot. I will spend time with you. Women are the ones who are doing the picking. Men are typically, every so often, you got a guy who's such an alpha chat and so high on the hierarchical ladder that he basically gets the pick of the litter. But typically it is the men who are fighting for the women's attention. Yeah. And there's a process to that. And what I'm saying is that I'm not saying we shouldn't shame guys who are like groping women and going after them at bars, but I will say there is a tremendous more pressure on men when even the things you say to them on Instagram can be led to can lead to you never having a girl give you a shot ever again.
All right.
To losing a tremendous when you talk to one woman online.
Focus in on what's said there though. because that's
But
that's the that's the
but that's the
linchpin.
thing,
It
dude.
doesn't
If
matter
I
what the
told you,
medium
if I
is.
told you what has worked with other women, you would be like, "There's no way that would work with women." I'd be like, "Well, it has." Like every person's different.
Right.
There's a different there's an added change to things when there's public opinion to it. There used to be that attitude of women be like, I can't believe I'm doing this. It's like there used to be that like you know how like you're in a relationship, it's like, oh, this is bad, like we should be doing this, like it's kind of fun bad. That
Yeah.
doesn't exist
The bad
anymore
thing.
now because
It
those
does.
things
It
aren't.
does
I
exist.
mean,
You're
it
just not
does,
a
it
fucking high
does.
schooler anymore hanging out being a bad boy. And if you were, we'd have a whole other issue to talk about, buddy.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely not doing the bad boy shit anymore. That stuff is exhausting.
Yeah,
But
what are you
my
talking
point,
about?
I'm just saying, but I'm just saying in dating in general. Like even my sister, like last night. I mean, granted, she puts a little smiley face with the guy's face, but she's posting like conversations from her Hinge experiences, and I'm just like, keep that stuff to yourself. Like unless it like if you're a comedian, I kind of get it because like your whole idea is like like for me. If I publish a conversation, it's like, well, I podcast and I'm a comedian. My whole life's public. But when you're just some rando who's like, oh my God, look what this guy fucking said. It's like, okay, well, definitely block his name out, like, and try to make it as little about who he is
Well,
and more about the situation.
now I
Because
will say you're kind of getting into the dating apps, which is its own can, and then
dating apps, text message, Instagram. I'm just saying, and
right,
this
right.
goes back to why I think. By the way, I do blame Middlebitch for this. I don't, and Crystal
Yeah,
Lee as well.
obviously.
Like, I don't understand why these guys Snapchat and converse with these people on digital like ways for them to be able to follow them, and then use that evidence later.
I'm not gonna
Because I'm
lie,
sure
man.
he said shit.
I yeah, I'm sure too, but like I don't know, being a 21st century man, I've indulged in some sexting in my day, and I'm
I won't
like,
do it anymore.
yeah, neat. I'm not really big on it either. I at the time it does feel just weird, and if you go back and read it like sexually sober, like when you're not horny, you're like, ugh, just what the fuck is this? Um, so you know what I mean? Where you're just like, that's gross. Like I wish that didn't exist. But
I don't. I am impressed. I'm pretty good. I used to be pretty good at it. I wrote
everybody
some
likes
pretty
their
good
own, I'm
texts.
sure. Everybody likes. I'm a fucking
No,
novelist.
no,
I make
dude, you don't
people
get it,
wet and
dude.
hard.
Good, dude.
Like,
Women told me all the time I was
yeah,
really
I'm
good at
sure.
sexting. By
Dude,
the way,
your conversation's so big. It's the biggest conversation I've ever
I
seen.
use really big words. They were
Yeah,
such
dude.
big
Oh
words. They
my
almost didn't
god.
fit on the screen. They
Yeah,
were so big.
your conversation. Oh, your
Ugh,
conversation's gonna ruin my
that's
screen.
too many syllables for my pussy.
Oh, well, now you made it real. We were doing so good being nuanced.
What was the question that your buddy on the chat had for me that you were holding on to?
That was the one. What's
What was it?
lascivious? Yeah.
Oh well, what's lascivious is what I said, and
Lascivious. Oh, okay.
yes, and it's just like sexual. It's just like being kind of like a dirty old man.
That sounds like a word that you have to say while moving your tongue up and down a bunch. Like,
Yeah, lascivious. Oh, how you doing?
lascivious.
Like I said, I bombed a lot. There was a lot of girls who weren't
You
into me and my
bombed. You're
behavior.
using comic talk for
Yeah.
hitting on chicks.
Well, because it's the
And a
same
good
thing.
set bomb.
It's
You
this.
know.
Dude. Can't you agree that comedy is nothing more than practicing the art of conversation? It's one sided, but you're practicing the art of having people understand you and having people
Yeah.
react in the way you hope they react. You are speaking to people, hoping they understand you and that you get the response you want. Same thing with men and women.
Yep.
You're talking to women, and whether you want, don't get me wrong, the guys who succeed the most are ones who have no expectations. I've learned that. But you have to learn it.
No, yeah.
A lot of
when you
guys
go to the bar with like, no care. You're like, let's just have a couple beers. That's always the night.
right.
You
But
know.
here's what I've noticed: the thirstier you are, the harder it is not to have expectations. So it takes a tremendous amount of practice and success to a certain extent. And I would say this with comedy too. Like it's just like you have to get up on stage so many times to the point that you're literally just doing it for the fun of it, and you don't care as much about the results as you do the experience. But when you get to that point, and I do this in I know this might be more anecdotal, but I do know other guys that are like this. The more comfortable you get, the more silly you become, and the more uninhibited you might be in your attempts to seduce an audience. And like I said, once again, if the guy's
are you
sending
one
your
of those
messages,
guys? Don't be a fucking Pete
well,
Holmes.
here's the thing. Here's the thing.
fucking hate
If
that shit.
I'm gonna put
Comedy
a
is like trying to fuck the crowd. I'm like,
if
no,
I'm
it's
gonna put a
not. It's
hard, oh, I'm
not.
not talking about that. I'm not talking about that.
I
But if I am
fucking
gonna put a
hate
hard, if I am
Pete
gonna put a
Holmes
hard,
talking
there,
like
I mean,
that.
there's Pete Holmes. Fuck everything he says. But anyway,
Okay, hey,
God bless him. He's successful. He
I
should be
was gonna
happy.
say,
But I
did
have
we
no
just
respect for the man.
100% agree on something where
Yeah,
you and
I
I
know.
don't even have to have a chat? We're
And
just like,
I'm
fuck
as
that
shocked
guy.
as you are that it's Pete Holmes.
Oh,
But
fucking fuck that guy. He's a
I
tall,
know.
gumpy weirdo that's like, oh, you just gotta fuck the
Well,
crowd. I'm a
well,
look
it's
at
just
me. I'm like, fuck you, Pete Holmes.
well, and this is all I want to really say about him because he's not worth that much of our time. But like, he, if I've heard him correct, he's basically a guy who's like, yeah, I just was lucky enough to, for some reason, be friends with a lot of famous comedians, and now I have a career. And I'm like, okay, good, like fuck, like all your problems, like all your problems don't really. I don't know, just like it's just like, dude, like then acknowledge it's not your talent. It's the lottery. You won the lottery.
Most
Congratulations.
of the time, when you're in a green room and it's a superstar headliner and an opener, the superstar headliner's like, man, I really don't want to talk to these guys. If Pete Holmes was the headliner and I was like the MC, I'd be like, I gotta get the fuck out of this green room.
Oh, dude, I do not. I was at one of my
favorite
restaurants getting breakfast, and he was there, and I almost left. I was like, okay, you know what? There must. I don't even want to be in this.
Let's let it out. Let's let a little. I got Ericson. I got the stopwatch going. 5 minutes on the clock. Let's let Pete Holmes out.
No.
I'm just saying. He looks like you microwaved like fucking Jeff Goldblum for too long and put on a bad hairpiece, and then he goes out there talking about like, well, comedy's like being suave and seducing and fucking a crowd. I'm like, you look like a fucking Gumby character that
but
got canceled.
But you acknowledge that there is overlap, right?
Well,
as far as
funny,
like,
but yeah, sure.
I'm not talking about him.
Here's the thing. His metaphor or example, any of that nonsense. I'm like, yo, dude, you could have picked 100 other things that wasn't sex to compare.
Yeah, but that's
seducing a crowd,
right?
Enticing people. I'm like, all right,
right. But the parallels are there, dude. The parallels are like you are at the end of the day, and this is what I love about comedy is like you are
at the end of the day.
Jesus, I almost think that's worse than negotiation.
What
they've got hostages, you've got money, you've got guns. You don't want to have to use them, but if you do, you will.
Yeah,
it's a negotiation.
I think that's better.
That's
than
crazy,
you gotta get
dude.
Rock hard. And
well, I don't know.
When the audience is ready, you gotta peel them over.
Okay. Well, I don't know how you go about seduction, but apparently, I guess you got to go to the bathroom for a quick second before you go out there.
What do you got to go to the bathroom to get rock
feel
hard?
this.
What are you doing?
Well, I honestly do. You're not quite there yet. You're just on the cusp of 30, but trust me, it gets a little bit harder after. It gets a little bit harder to get hard as you get into those 30 years.
Okay. I believe you.
I mean, like, there's jokes about it, and trust me, I've been thinking lately, I miss how horny I was. That's why there's ever been an argument that teenagers should be having sex more. It's the realization that, like, you really are, like, the horniest, at least as a dude. I mean, maybe if women are their horniest at 30, maybe we should just get a bunch of 30-year-olds and 17-year-old boys, like, together, because...
let's go 18.
18 maybe, sure. I mean, depending what state you're in, I suppose. It's still a teenager at 18. So it's 18. It's still 18. As far as I'm concerned, you're not an adult. You're like 23. Okay, 21, 22 even. I'm like, I still don't consider you.
24 is the first age where I look at somebody. I'm like, you're probably not doing all the stupid shit anymore.
25 is definitely that's where I'm like, okay, like you have to have at least some experience what it's like to be an adult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like because I've been noticing age a lot, dude. Because like I said, I go through the Tinder and the Hinges, and like when I see 21, 20, I'm like, I'm not even swiping right unless I think they're just down to fuck. And then if I see 23, 24, I'm like, do I really want to deal with this? And then when I see 25, I'm like, okay, at least with her, I'm not the bad guy if I meet her and say, you're too immature for me, because at that point it's on her. She has to, at 25, you have to have a certain awareness of, like, you know, how much you know and how little you don't know, or how much you need to learn.
I'm also of the camp that women definitely mature faster than men. So 25-year-old woman is
physically
definitely gonna
maybe.
You don't think
physically?
You don't think mentally?
I think they've got.
Remove your ego, because I'm not talking about
I think
Ericson here. I'm
inherently,
talking about men.
I think inherently a lot of women have certain skills that men don't typically have, and one of them I will say is the ability to organize a budget. But I don't know. I don't know if personality wise immature because I'm at the age now
Mm-hmm.
where I'm getting a lot more 20-year-olds who are interested in me, 20 to 22-year-olds. And they always talk about how all they've done is dated older men and how they've always been mature for their age. They've always been like, having more mature conversations. And the whole time I'm sitting, I'm just looking at them being like, you sound like a child.
Well, you're in the age group where, and this is something I have read. I'm trying to remember the book. About it was actually about like love
Sex, love, and Cocoa
psychology.
Puffs.
Yeah, it was something like that. And it's like, yeah, men peak at their like sexual prowess between like, I think it's like
13.
36 to 45,
Jesus.
because
That
it's like,
sounds like a myth.
no, because you by then you usually have some sort of security. You're definitely like,
Oh,
not a
you mean
boy.
they're most sexually successful? Because I
Right,
definitely
right,
was
right,
hornier when
right,
I was 13.
right. No,
I was
I'm not
definitely.
talking about. I'm not talking about
I see.
like
I see.
equipment. I'm talking about
No.
like when they get the most at bats, or at least
Right.
like they
Yes.
would.
Yes. That I believe.
Um,
Yes.
and it's like,
Yes.
yeah, man. Whereas like, and it's mainly because in your heterosexual attraction, women normally look past physical attributes as well. So like it matters, but then it's also security,
Sure.
what
Sure.
you have to offer, who you
Right.
are as a person.
Right.
Whereas a
Right.
guy, most of the time, our first go to is, oh, it's so
Yeah.
hot, like,
Right.
and that's why they've said women have most of their sexual success from like 18 to 25.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to read the peer-reviewed papers on that, but when I read that, it was interesting to me. But I'm like, yeah, it doesn't. You don't need to be a fucking
Right.
rocket
But
scientist.
once again, that's not maturity. That's just biology. Women, and that's why I'm saying when I meet these 20-year-old girls who are like saying how they've always been mature and they've always dated older guys, I'm like, well, you've dated older guys because you're attracted to mature men, and obviously mature men have nothing against fucking an attractive young woman. But don't take this as a sign. If you're taking this as a sign that your maturity level is beyond other men
right,
your
right,
age or
right,
people, I got news for you. You're just as immature as every other girl your own age.
right. No, that's
And
that's
every
exactly it.
guy too. Like
But
it's
here's
just
the thing: a 22-year-old girl versus a 22-year-old guy. The maturity level there, I'm like, dude, that guy is about to put a
same
fucking Keystone
same
Light
thing
helmet
to me.
on.
Same thing.
Same thing to you?
They have different activities and different behaviors, sure, but they're just both as delusional and naive as a 22-year-old child is, because you've only been an adult for really about 3 years of your life.
Right.
You've just started having the ability to legally drink. You're cosplaying an adult,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I'll
it's the
give you all
same thing to
that.
me.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's and that's all I look at. I don't look at like, oh well, yeah, guys, because that to me is just men. Like, yeah, men slow down in their old age, but men generally are more physical. They're more rambunctious. They wild out. Women are typically more internal. They want to like, they want to talk about feelings and gossip about drama.
We
But that's
we need
something
that
that's
old sex psychologist woman on this segment of the podcast now.
Ruthie or
Yeah,
the
is
new
that
one, the new
Dr.
one.
Ruth? God damn it.
She's dead as far as I can
We gotta
tell.
dig her up. We gotta bring her up.
Just
She was my favorite,
put her
dude.
my There's a new one. There's a new one. My friend does a spoof on her. I forget who she
Okay.
is, but there's a new one who's like, she's Russian or something, like, or maybe German,
Okay.
and she like is all about the love and the house and the house. You couldn't get. I would never trust someone over the age of 50 about with my sex life.
Really?
I mean, unless they're a porn star. But
Why is
other
that?
than that,
Okay,
because
hang on. That says more about you.
everything look, I think my first special is going to be like, this is more about me. That's what it's going to be called, because
I
anyone who
want
takes anything
every
I
other
say
seat in that audience better be
every time someone takes something I say personally, I'm just like, you do understand I'm just talking about me. Even when I'm
Right.
talking about you, I'm talking about me. This is all me. Trust me.
No,
I'm the
I know.
problem. Don't
Hey,
worry about it.
as the two chair on this podcast, I know.
The two chair?
Yeah, the second chair.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping you in your lane. I'm letting you bumper bowl down the highway, going like,
What I
let
was
me tell you about the fucking society we live in. I'm like, here we go, everybody. Eric's just flying the plane, but I'm in back end engineering. Like, I'm
Look,
gonna throttle back his engines here.
look, and you can even say it's somewhat sour grapes because I realize that I was not physically equipped or lucky enough to have like, the genetics that make me of a top tier, uh what do you call it, asset to women. Like I'm not something that women like I'm not someone that women see and they go like, yeah, like most women look at me, they're just like, yeah, I'll pass. And that's fine, and it pisses me off, but I think it's getting even harder for men now because
Does it?
I just think it's getting harder for men. And I don't mean this in a way for sympathy or that we need to be angry at women. It's just I'm saying the way things are moving now is that women have more ability to find what they're looking for than ever before. They can go to a bar, but they can also be at that bar and be like, you know what? I'm gonna look at my phone and swipe right until I find what I like, or swipe left until I find what I like. Whereas in the olden days, it used to be like, I want company, and I'm in a small town, and I don't have many options, so I'm
What
going to get to know these
fucking
people.
village are you talking about?
Dude, when we were younger, okay, when you were in
I
college,
want
you
company.
talked
What
with
do you?
women.
Oh my god! When we were in college, it was drunkenly saying, "Hey, what's up?" Now I want to
Nah, not
dial it
me.
back, and
I went to book clubs.
oh, you went to book clubs?
I
Okay.
went. I went. I went to anime
Oh
conventions
yeah,
and
it
talked to
sounds
girls
like you were
about
being
Japanese and
being that.
otaku.
Yeah, I can even
Nah, I was a
see
creep.
the
I was just wrong.
connive in
All I
your
ever did, dude.
stance right now.
All I ever did do is I found the biggest chump
I
in the
went to
group,
book clubs.
made fun of him as much as possible in front of women until one of them decided they wanted to sleep with me. That was about
Wow,
it.
man, sounds like it worked out pretty well.
It
And
did. It worked for a while, and it disgusted me. I hated it. I
oh my
hated the
god.
fact that like the only way I could seem to get women was to be a jackass.
Yeah, but you're a mature man now. You've grown out of
And
that.
now I'm lonely and single, and I can't get fucking anything on Tinder. So
Yeah, well,
is it worth it? That's the question.
I don't know. Well,
I'm not gonna
I
turn.
want to ask you this:
I'm not gonna go to
Has
Cloak and
somebody?
Dagger and start chasing women around with my fingers. But
It would be too funny. Have you listened to any MRA or red pill shit?
there, no, not really.
It's hilarious how many fucking notes you're hitting. That is exactly like what they're on about. Where I'm like,
Well,
this is
you're.
kind of.
Well, are they? Are you saying that? What are you saying that? So, are
I'm
you
just saying
taking
you're
away from the?
organically spewing a lot of red pill shit right
Well,
now, and I'm just
red
kind of.
pills aren't red pills are just the truth, dude. That's why they're called red
All
pills. They're
right,
just
here,
seeing the world
here,
for the
here
way
we
that
go.
they
Here we
are.
go.
If
And
you
I
are
asked
you a
you.
blue
I
pillar? Are you
asked
trying to
you.
say that
I
you
asked
are you trying
you
to say
if
that
you've
you
listened to
are
any of
about
it.
blue pills?
Here's the thing. I got you.
No,
I
I've
got you.
watched The
Cause
Matrix. I've been alive since
uh-huh.
1997, so
Sure.
I actually am
Sure.
familiar with popular
Sure.
culture and I know what things are
Yeah,
referring to.
your MRA
I have a
camouflage
mind
is
and an
showing.
ability to
Uh-huh.
think abstractly. I
Yeah.
can make connections and recognize patterns.
Okay.
My IQ is 145.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sure. Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
I'm able to put together the dots.
That's wild. The one thing I might have believed in that incoherent ramble is that your IQ is 145.
That's the thing you thought was honest. That was the real thing.
It'd be tragic though. I'd be like, oh, Erickson, you should be doing so much more. I get where your
I
dad's
should
coming
be. I
from
really
now.
should.
Like,
I really should.
no,
Um, apparently that was the end of the article. I didn't realize it. Like apparently they just basically are like Tom Middle is just a sexual
is
predator, and
this
that's
the
all we
only
wanted you to
thing
know.
you had today, by the way?
No, actually, the funny
Okay,
thing was what I wanted to talk about was e-girls and how I'm curious what these women are going to be like in their 50s,
okay,
but we don't have
okay.
enough time to get into
I
that
was gonna
now.
say if you want to go to 11, we could get into it. But when I texted you last night to like get ready, you're like, hey man, like don't be a
Well,
bitch when I bring up the real
I was
stuff.
also
I'm like,
tempted.
fucking
Well,
what?
it
Like,
was either e-girls or this sudden media attention and compassion for Asians that I find to be very hollow and
okay.
bullshittery.
There's the one
Um,
when you were like, "Don't be a bitch." I was like, and then we talk about Thomas Middleditch being a creep. I'm like, Erickson, this
well,
is some pretty toothless shit for the
I know.
text you sent.
I know. Well, I like to hit on the most, the hottest topics that America's talking about right now.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure one of the things you just
and
brought up still get a lot more.
that was the text message I woke up to in the morning, from a guy who really just hates everybody who ever worked at UCB.
Okay.
So
So we just did a spite cast. I was I was an instrument to somebody else's spite today. Great.
I thought it was I thought it was a nice segue. I thought it might lead to the ego conversation.
Yeah.
I've been thinking. I've been thinking a lot of. I guess I've always been thinking a lot about women. I'm obsessed with them. I think they're one of the most amazing creatures ever created.
You're a
And
creationist?
well, or emerge from the swamp. Oh yeah, I think they're the most amazing creatures ever emerged from the swamp. That's a better way of putting it.
Well, I was gonna say, as a MRA guy, that's how I figure you would phrase that.
You know what, dude? I don't believe in labels. Honestly, I'm still figuring out my identity. Right at this moment, I'd like you just to say I'm
I would
non-binary.
go ahead and say the same guy who says I don't believe in labels is the same guy that's like I don't see color either. I'm like, you fucking idiot.
Well, there's a
Like,
lot of people. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of races on Tinder because a lot of people don't see. Well, actually, they do see labels. They all. It's either she, they, or she, her.
dude, I don't know. Kind of wheeling back to the
Which one do you want to go to? Do you want to go to Asian or
I
e-girls?
no,
Which
I
one do you
kind
want to
of
do?
like. Well, I kind of want to go to the e-girls thing because I didn't realize this is something I just found out. Belle Delphina, is that her name? Belle.
Yeah, that is a girl's name, and that is a character. That
Is
is
she?
a brand.
But yeah, but she started
She
off. She
sold
was the
bathwater.
bathwater girl. Okay, that's how I
Hmm.
knew her. And then the guys were telling me the other day she's actually a porn star now. Like that came full circle, and I was like, wait, fucking what? Like, are you looking into it? Yeah, and
Belle Delphine.
yeah, evidently,
I mean,
because what
what
she
she
was
was
selling,
doing was shades away from being a
right,
porn star at
for
this
sure.
point.
But I thought it was always going to be in that gray area of like swimsuit issue type of shit where you're like, it'll always
Well, this is
be
not
a.
where I wanted to go with this, but like, I mean,
Well, I'm
like,
just saying,
like,
it's e-girls, but
I don't even want to use a slippery slope argument, but like, where are we headed? Like, we now have an application that is specifically designed so people can pay people, essentially, men pay women for nude photos and attention.
you talking about
Um,
OnlyFans?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's becoming normalized, and I'm not against it. I'm just saying it's becoming normalized that women, and this is what I guess what I want to talk about with the e-girls is it's becoming normalized for women to sell their sexuality as a way of making ends meet and becoming profitable. And it's becoming accepted. Like it's just the norm that like young women are attractive. People obviously want to look at them, and why shouldn't they be able to monetize that if one of the fucking
I don't think we have an it's I don't know if we have enough time for me to
I
unpack.
told you I
Well, no, no,
told
no, no,
you.
no, no, because the rabbit hole I'm about to go down is the fall of a society, and it's like we
Well, okay,
don't
but
like.
so here's the only question I was having
Yeah,
for you, and I'm gonna
yeah,
have this with another person in my podcast about. So it's not unfortunate we don't solve it.
okay.
Um, but you got you level with me and agree, even though it's somewhat anecdotal. But I like anecdotally, it seems like there is a obscene amount of young women, probably from the ages of like 15, honestly, if we're being really honest, but like let's say 17 to like 26, who are just like haunting, for lack of a better word, the internet with just like their titty, like their bodies. Like there's all these women that are getting hundreds of thousands of followers, sponsor deals, money, revenue from either
Yeah, I
like,
mean, go on
dancing
Instagram
on
and look up
Instagram,
butts.
dancing on
Yeah, yeah,
TikTok, or
yeah.
selling. So what I'm curious about is because it's now becoming obviously a legitimate method for young women to invest in themselves and make
Mm-hmm.
money.
Yeah.
What is going to happen with these women when they're
Mm,
50?
I
What
I
part are they going to play in society, and what is going to be their role
so two
in our society?
two 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 paths I see, right?
Yeah.
If we want to kind of bow this up in the next couple of minutes here. The first path, the sad path, would be not recognizing that it is a flash in the pan physical sale. Like
The most
if you're
likely, that is the most likely scenario.
maybe right because I did watch like on a personal finance thing. It was hilarious that like Lana Rhodes and some other like hyper successful porn stars are also talking about their personal finance because it goes down the second road. They recognize that they are hot from like 18 to like 24 is their sexual prime and like these
Yeah.
women, these porn stars are saying that because they talk about like by 24, 25 they're put in the MILF category and they're like I'm not even like what, but
Right.
the point being is you either tragically flash in the pan, spend all the money, and don't look in the future, or what these women have done, and some of the brilliant ones on OnlyFans and all that, they're making like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of
Mm-hmm.
dollars.
Mm-hmm.
But what they're doing now, and this is where I will say maybe some maturity or wisdom, is they recognize that they are selling themselves in a niched up, stigmatized category of porn star, where it's like you're not going to get another regular job after that. So what they've done is taken all that fucking money and invested it to the point where that money is going to make them money for the rest of their lives. And then some of them have even talked about buying into or making their own business brands, whether it be, slutty lingerie and swimwear, or like buying into real estate behind the scenes. So I'd say this: if young women are making bank like they are, good on them. Because I'm like, fuck it. I won't even talk about the fall of society and like the hypersexualization and money. That can be a whole different podcast. I've done the 7 signs of a fall of society before. John Glubb's essay about it. America's nailing them all. Different podcast. But what I will say is, if you are gonna monopolize off something that niches you up and is also something that can't be a lifelong career unless you become a fetish or something like that, take all that money now. Recognize that money needs to make money in the future, and buy the dip. Buy the dip.
I know, but it's so funny. The whole time you're talking, I was like, no wonder this guy owns Cardano. It's like, seriously, this guy's just like always looking at the optimist side
I'm
of it.
just talking about. Listen, man,
There
my
is
exit
definitely going
strategy
to be
is also blue chip dividend stocks. And
right.
after listening to young, like female porn stars talk about, like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to keep this up, and podcasting and my followership.
I have
might
no
drop, so.
doubt that there are some women. Actually, I know one of my close friends.
Mhm.
She's one of like the top percentiles on OnlyFans.
Okay.
She's making bank, and
Yeah.
what she is doing is she said, but what she said to me, she's like, I'm trying my best to make sure that like I make as much money as possible, and I put it places where it can make me more money.
Yeah.
But she's also been working in Hollywood for like well over like a decade. She's in her 30s, and she realized, and she's as aware as I am that this is not a long-term thing.
Right.
Have you ever seen the documentary Hot Girls Wanted?
Yeah. Yeah. It's tragic.
That's
man.
I got a feeling that's probably the majority of
Probably.
people we're
It's
dealing
sad,
with.
but
Is that
they're also not making a ton of money either. That's the
they weren't.
Yeah.
But that was back in like what, early 2000s, when they were being lured into being like, online amateur porn stars working for other dudes. Now they're making money themselves. It's going directly to them, and it's even more. And like we were talking about, it's even more of an accepted role or occupation than it ever has been. And it's going to have to be, because like the reality is that like now, if you are an attractive girl, you no longer just have to, and this goes back to even some of what I was saying earlier, if you're an attractive young lady between the ages of 17 and 23, you're no longer limited to your high school or your college for attention. You have the entire world as a platform.
Right.
And it is very likely you will get that attention, because it sells, the algorithm will notice it, and you will get shared, and you will get attention. Dude, it blows my mind. Like, I can't even underline this. Like, every time I'm on Instagram, I hit the discover thing because I'm bored. I see just women after woman I've never seen before in my life. These young, gorgeous, drop dead, gorgeous girls dressed up as like anime characters, or just, in hot, like, alt wear, dancing and stuff like that. And I'm just like, she's got to have at most 1,000 followers. Like, I've never seen this girl before in my life, and she's a nobody. Click on her. 333,000, 2.3 million. I'm like, how do they find these people? How do they get so many followers? And I think to myself, I'm like, God, if only I could meet her, I'd probably realize she has nothing to talk about, because they're human beings. Yeah. And they're just dancing, and they're making a fortune off of it, and they're living a lifestyle of like, of luxury. And I'm just asking myself, like, what is her going to be, her opinion, her politics, her attitudes about life when she's 50 and no one gives a fuck about her?
Unfortunately, that could be the sad, shrew road where I don't know,
man.
Like,
So going back, this is why it's a longer conversation. It's like, we're in a moment right now where women have the floor. We're putting a lot more attention the way women are going through. They're arguing that they don't get paid as much as men. They feel like they're not treated as equally professionally in society, and they blame a lot of this on society. But it's like, are we still going to blame society for basically giving all these likes to these young women and letting them believe that, like, and basically feeding their ego and their lifestyles for sex, when the reality was, like, that's like you said, a timed, that's got an expiration date on it.
This is two different camps of career where you're like, yeah, these women are talking about not making money. Like, yeah, I'm sure at GE and Ford, where it's like, if a woman on Instagram,
you don't think there's one who argue that like they were forced into OnlyFans because of the pandemic, like because they lost their job, they had no other choice.
Yeah, I'd believe that. I mean,
You always
Uh,
have a choice, dude. You have a choice. It's a
nah,
free country. No one's holding a gun to your head.
to make money during the pandemic, dude.
Postmate. Go on Postmate. They
we
don't give a fuck if you look good.
we 100% don't have enough time for this one. But I mean, if you look at the jobs that were deemed non-essential, and unfortunately, rightfully so, jobs where it's like you got to stay home, retail and storefront retail, and what was the other one? Teaching, a few
I
other
didn't go.
ones.
I didn't go on OnlyFans. I
Yeah,
started editing more and I
relax
started
your
working in
fucking
crypto.
anecdotal you experience.
No.
You, you,
But why do I have those options and your average young woman doesn't? How's my ability to get an editing job, focus on trading and do Postmates? How are those not options for someone who has to do OnlyFans? Why is OnlyFans the only option? I don't understand that. If you could explain it to me, then I'll take it as like you're right. They had no other option, but no one's forced to do OnlyFans.
okay, so first of all, let's bar of entry, right? If you want to do Postmates or any other delivery jobs you were talking about, that's car payment, all
Okay,
that.
fair enough. Yeah,
Like,
car, sure.
and I'm like, yeah,
And a
let's
lot
say,
of women can't drive. Okay, point made.
yeah, sure, there you go. And but let's say you were in a low paying job where you couldn't even afford the car in the first place. The bar of entry for any of those jobs comes with a risk of using an asset, right? Versus
Okay,
a phone and your body, a phone with a good camera and the internet. Boom, you already the bar of entry way lower for that job. The
okay,
pay probably going to be much higher as well. So the risk
sure.
reward in the short term is much higher, right?
Right, but risk reward is still a matter of choice. You
For
you have a choice to take
for
risk.
sure, but like
I'm not saying it is. I'm not. No one's not. I'm not arguing that OnlyFans isn't more attractive.
mhm,
Everyone will admit that it's more attractive to be a porn star than it is to be a waiter because you make more money. You get to fuck all day.
for sure, for sure. But like, what's your point being then?
My point is that they're not well, my point is, first of all, I don't believe that anyone was forced to do OnlyFans for the pandemic. I think the
Mhm.
pandemic might have pushed them towards it because it was a more attractive option than
Right.
getting a job at a grocery store, getting Postmates, or doing something risky like day trading.
Sure.
I'm not saying that's still a choice. And what I'm curious about is these people who took this route, these people who are living routes of like, I'm going to be an Instagram star, YouTube star, TikTok star. I'm going to make
Yeah.
money. Not even just women, but I think of women mostly because it's the easiest for them, to be honest.
Right.
Like, what are these people going to be like in society when they're 50 and no one gives a fuck about them? And I think you're right. Some of them are thinking themselves like, yeah, I'm gonna invest my money. I'm gonna make sure that I
Right.
I take this. But I've also met a lot of people that the moment they have a moment of windfall, they run through that cash like butter. They
For
just
sure.
they
For
just they're
sure.
just burning money,
But I
buying
mean,
things they don't need. I mean,
you
look at
you're
MC
talking about the
Hammer.
tragic story of like what's gonna happen when they don't find the right man and have a family and
Well,
have
I'm just
people who
saying
care about them.
I'm just saying that if it's not obvious right now that we're creating a class of people
Mm-hmm.
who are going to be essentially useless
Yeah.
at the age of 50, like
Mm-hmm.
at the age of possibly even 40, maybe even 35, because it's just we're getting so much, there's so many more people and there's so many new fresh faces to these platforms. I'm
Yeah.
just curious, like, I don't know, it just like,
It's
does that worry you at all? Because
yeah, but that
to
that
me it's
that goes
concerning because
in.
it's like we already have an issue here where we have people complaining that it's not their fault they're in this bullshit situation that they're in, and they're complaining that they don't have enough money and that they don't get paid what they're worth.
It,
But I'm like, okay,
here
I think there's an argument there, but we're starting to create people who are literally valueless to
but you're
society.
hitting one pillar of it, and like yeah, it does worry me because this is one of the pillars I was talking about, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe save it for next Monday, but you should read if we're talking about reads, and
I'm
it's
gonna read.
on.
I'm gonna read that book. Is
It's
it long?
no, it's an essay I can send you on.
Okay, I'm gonna read it. We'll talk
University
about
of
it next
North
week.
Carolina has it. It's
Mm-hmm.
Sir John Glubb's The Fall of Empires,
Mm-hmm.
Fall of Nations. I'll send it to you after. I'll even maybe post it in the chat if anybody else wants to read it. And he hits on all the pillars of like when a society's ready to fall. And what you're like hyper focused on is
You
like
froze for a second.
okay,
Start that
my
over one
bad,
more
my
time.
bad. So you hit on the hypersexual pillar of like the fall of empires here, and it's something like I totally agree with. Like sex workers or anybody in
Yeah.
their 50s late game are going to be up there with people who are forced out through to other industry jobs, but this is just one of the main pillars that the whole society we're on right now is fucked. Like fundamentally, we've positioned ourselves we've done so well that we're now living in the age of decadence where
Right.
like most people want to be a YouTube star or a porn
Right.
star. I mean, look at us video podcasting right now. But
Right.
it's like
Right. But
uh,
for the record, I wanted to do this forever, guys. This
yeah,
has been
yeah.
this was my dream before. It was the only thing people
I,
could do
I
for
will
attention.
say, yeah, I if we're looking at stand-up
I
comedy,
was born to do radio. That was what I was supposed to be doing.
okay, well,
I'm doing what I was born to do right
see,
now.
I'll die on the road as a sad road comic because I love doing that. But like when I look at everybody else, like
I'm
doctors
gonna
now,
love burying you.
well, see, when doctors or lawyers also want to be YouTube stars, I'm kind of like, Jesus Christ, you're already a doctor or a lawyer. Like, is
Right,
that not
right,
fulfilling enough?
right.
I just want to be a comic.
Dude,
Like,
dude, I'm actually starting to fantasize about becoming a plumber.
yeah,
Just to
yeah.
be something useful, just to be like somebody who has a real job that actually provides like some sort of actual
Dude,
like
you're
asset
not
or
wrong because I looked at like Roto-Rooter schools and it's like you apprentice for a year or no, you intern for a year and apprentice for like 5, but you get
dude.
paid like $55,000 out the gate. And you're right, you do like a meaningful job.
Dude, let's start a traveling plumbing company.
I'll,
We'll be the Mario Brothers.
dude,
We'll do comedy and plumbing.
comedy and plumbing. I'll tell you this much: one of us specializes in plumbing, and the other in electrical. And then we got it made.
Awesome, dude. Let's do
we're
it.
in a town doing shows at night, and we're like, by the
Handyman
way,
Comics.
well,
Handyman
yeah,
Comics
and we're
Incorporated.
like, listen, we're not here. We'll do the shows for you, but by day, we don't want to like hang out and drink beers with you. If you got like a fucked up house that needs some repairs, we're your guys.
Hey, what's great is if we're doing a house show and the power goes out, we got you.
Yeah, yeah.
If one of the guys ends up like clogging the toilet, don't worry, I got that. After my set, I'll unclog it.
Let's.
It sounds like to me though, if I had, I mean, I want to talk about it more next week. I don't want to read that essay, but it sounds to me like your answer is that yes, Erickson, it is a problem, but it's so much bigger of a problem than I even realized.
I'm like, dude, you're hitting
like it's the tip of the iceberg. Like it's not
just
it's not just Instagrammers, it's not just OnlyFansers. It's like the whole entire society is basically becoming useless.
Yeah, yeah. Like, and that's kind of the scary part because like you keep hitting on like good points.
Thanks.
But I'm just like, hey man, like I'm like this goes so much deeper.
Gavin Witter seems to agree with me too. So it's good to know.
Hang on, go ahead and check the chat because I want to find this essay for everybody and post it.
I love. Okay, no problem. Well, Sean Murray, I love. He says, "Don't worry, Erickson. When the Fed finally tightens rates, plumbing is going to be the only job out there." That's actually, I think that's pretty funny. I'm telling you, I feel like I'm ahead of the game for once in my life by being like, I'm going to focus on actually having a useful skill. Erickson, OG on you say Erickson's on a rampage. This is why we started this podcast, because this is pretty much me every time I talk to Lewis. Let's see, we got trades are amazing. They are amazing. I agree. Sean Murray says trades going to be lit. Although right now my portfolio is down $300.
Yeah, it's kind of it's red day. Wait
a minute, never mind. It's down 170. I must have a trade open that I don't. Oh, I do. My Bitcoin. I just got in. Yeah. Yes.
Your Bitcoin got. You got that?
I had a long. I had an entry set at like a low point yesterday.
Yeah.
Swear to God, it got within like $4 of the entry and then bounced back up. And I was like, shit, dude, I need this money. And so I readjusted last night and now I'm up $100. So
there you go. I was going to say, man, it's kind of a red day in crypto and the stonks are turning south today as well. But in the chat, I have linked The Fate of Empires and Search for Survival by Sir John Glubb. I do believe, this is the essay I read on UNCW, University of North Carolina West. I forget it. But it's there. Everybody can read that. It's like 26 pages. I've read this thing a couple of times. And, like, you know, say what you will about the author being a World War I, not general, what they call marshal, some shit, English marshal and whatnot. A lot of people attack the author, but I'm like, just read what he wrote, and I'm like, it's kind of scary on the nose.
And these are both essays.
It's the same essay. I just linked it twice because I wanted to title it if somebody comes back and they're like, the fuck are they talking about?
Okay.
But yeah, man, like one of the pillars of the fall was like hypersexualization and monetizing sex.
Wasn't gender confusion also one of them too?
I can't remember. I think that's kind of under the sexual
Yeah, it
pillar.
might be. It
The,
might
the
be.
the one that like scared me though, that like you don't think about it, was the praise of like cooks and chefs, where like you don't think about it, but then like you look
It's
at,
dangerous to appreciate your
well,
the
no,
guy at
it
BJ's.
it goes into the age decadence though, where like people praise like food and like
Oh
are
shit,
now
dude, we're
hyper
fucked.
focused. Yeah.
Oh
And so
no,
like
dude.
it's
The
like,
signs were there
yeah,
all
like
along.
foodie culture and like the Food Network and like all these cooking shows and like superstar chefs. He actually nails it. And the thing is, it's not like anecdotal stuff. He goes through like every empire starting from Sumerians on, and he's like, all right, what did they all have in common that led to their downfall? And each one of these empires that fell hit all of these markers. And I'm trying to find somebody that refutes this essay. So if anybody reads this and finds a good rebuttal essay, I would love to read it, because it's like, I want to see if there was like other things going on at the time, or if he's subjectively leaving or objectively kind of lying by omission.
Well, I'll
leaving
tell
stuff
you the
out,
argument
but
that Americans use all the time.
fucking America, baby.
No, new paradigm.
Oh yeah.
The new paradigm, man. Yeah, that was a pattern before, but now we're in a new paradigm. You got to think about things differently. We're gonna this time it's gonna work. This time we're gonna fucking make it.
Here's the thing: the fate has it that most empires fall at about 250 years.
I know, dude. I know. Dude. And trust me, dude. We're about every 100 years, San Francisco has an earthquake. We're about like 10 years due. So
Yeah.
like California's
Jesus.
gonna go underwater within the next 5 years. America's gonna collapse.
Yeah.
I just hope you and I both have enough Cardano to be able to like live a comfortable
Hey,
existence.
you got a good bag. It hits $50,000. We're gonna be doing just fine.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I also apologize if it zeroes out, but all right.
Do you you got any shows coming up or anything like that you want to plug?
Yeah, actually, just keep an eye out on Lou the Surgeon's Instagram. That's where I'm at.
Oh, what about your Twitch? Bring up your Twitch, dude.
Oh, yeah, I'm also Twitch streaming at Lou the Surgeon, kind of keeping it all under the same name here. And I've been building Lego on Twitch, and then I'm gonna also play kind of fun, creative games on Nintendo Switch, and then also like Minecraft, fun, creative RPG style games, low key, lo-fi. I actually just hit 51 followers, so I
you can get affiliate.
Yeah, I'm close.
You already beat you've been doing.
Oh, you kind of froze. You froze. Let's see if we can get Ericson back here, everybody. How much is he gonna freeze? Can we get him back? Oh, you froze.
Oh yeah, you've been doing Twitch for like a week, and you've already got an affiliate. I was doing it for like 3 fucking months.
Well,
I still haven't.
Oh, you froze again.
Gotten 50.
Oh, I will say this.
Yeah?
I had tons of support though. There was Michigan community.
I will say this. A lot of people like me.
Well,
a lot of people actually
Michigan
support
comics
me.
And other Twitch streamers that are already like very good helped me out. So it's like, it's not like I was just sitting.
I'm just saying it's just my way of saying congratulations and letting my envy show.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. It makes me really excited that it's so nice to have been there in January, see the kind of setup you have, and now knowing you're really utilizing it all.
Yeah.
And really going even further. The one, like, I don't know, like, I remember when I came there, you were just starting to get back on the grind of like really trying to be a creator and somebody, and I really do think you have a lot of potential. So it's good to see that you're really diving deeper into that and seeing what avenues you've got available to you to like.
Appreciate the hell out of that, man. I was gonna say the last plug I have after comedy shows, I will actually have a full tour list on my Instagram coming up for April, because I have shows and mics coming again. So comedy's back in Michigan in April. The Weekly Crunch might even be back. Salsa Parlor on YouTube. You guys are already here. Check out all the stuff we got going on. Zach and
if you don't like and subscribe yet, please do. And get your friends to subscribe. We're almost at 100. Once we're at 100, we're going to be able to like get the official youtube.com/salsa parlor.
So that'll be nice. And then if you want to check out a solo project I'm doing on YouTube called Loaded for Bear, where I'm making funny spoof prepping videos and anything else, go check out Loaded for Bear. You guys probably already are on that, but like and subscribe. And free consultation, comedy law podcast that I do with.
Look at you.
Yeah, crushing it. Comedy Law Podcast with Nick Lador, free consultation anywhere podcasts are found. We haven't recorded a new one in a couple weeks because COVID-19, but Nick and I will be back at that soon enough. And I believe that's all my plugs. Erickson, boom.
I've really got that I like to promote is my Just Erickson podcast, which is basically, if you like my kind of rampaging, as some of you called it, it's pretty much me doing that with a new guest every week. Although the beginning is usually about 10 to 15 minutes of me just rambling about whatever is on my mind at that moment. Just a lot more of the same stuff that you're getting from me right now. Just not always with Lewis.
Right.
Just Erickson, available where all podcasts are.
Ooh, shit. Last thing, because everybody in the chat got some final thoughts in there. Sean, I'll pick up that book. Gavin, hell yeah, he did. And then Yondo, appreciate that. And as far as Salsa Parlor live shows go, there's some stuff going on with the house that we're kind of keeping under wraps right now. But as soon as we know, we will let you guys know. So, yeah, I'd say once it's warmer out, expect some Salsa Parlor shows. But
I can't wait, dude. I'm looking forward to getting back there.
Cool. All right, thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you
later, dude.
Bye. Okay, stream is ended.